Today's show is brought to you by howdoicreateapodcast.com. Want to create your very own podcast to promote you and your business? Learn how you can become a rockstar podcaster in 30 days or less. Just visit howdoicreateapodcast.com. That's howdoicreateapodcast.com.
Welcome to Out of the Box with Christine, the podcast for conscious entrepreneurs. Are you willing to step into your greatness? Are you ready to shine? Well, get ready, truth seeker. You're in for an amazing ride. And now, here's the host of the show, Christine Blosdale.
Hey, welcome back to Out of the Box with Christine. I am your host, Christine Blosdale, your expert authority business coach. I help overwhelmed entrepreneurs do all the things that they need to do to get the message out about their brand and their business. And that means creating TikTok videos, creating a podcast to market themselves, being a guest on podcasts. And one of the things that I tell people that they really need to do in order to establish their expert authority is to write that damn book. Don't be thinking about it. Don't be dreaming about it. One day I'm going to write that book. No. Today is the message is write that book. And if you need help along the way, especially once it's done, getting it out there, I have the perfect guest for you. Robbie Samuels is a book launch strategist. He's the book launch strategist. I'm just going to put that in front of your title there, Robbie. The book launch strategist who helps authors get the word out about their book. Because you know what? You could write the best book in the world, and if nobody knows about it, was it written? Really? So, Robbie, welcome to Out of the Box with Christine.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be a fun conversation. I can already tell.
Because we're it's like my little doppelganger. You know, the male version of Christine is in Robbie. He's got his glasses on, he's got his professional microphone, and he knows how important it is to write that book. Why don't you just being a book launch strategist, why don't you tell people a little bit about what you do with your clients and folks who are thinking about writing a book maybe, or who've already written one?
So I tend to work with entrepreneurs who wrote a book to help them grow their business, and I help them turn that book into a business asset so it actually leads to new revenue and new media opportunities. My newest book that's coming out is called Don't Just Hit Publish, Launch Your Book, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Reviews That Drive Revenue. And I wrote that book because my first three have hundreds of reviews. I have about 200 to 250 reviews on each of my first three books. And I'm an indie author. I'm not well known and famous in big circles. I call myself a sub-celebrity in certain circles.
You're not Deepak Chopra?
Yeah. And I think too many people wrote a book to help grow their influence, but they didn't tell anyone. It's like having a grand opening of a store and not telling anyone about it. So it's a real shame, and I'm trying to help people prevent that.
And what would you say, what's the, well, it's not niche, but what would you say are these are nonfiction books from the most part?
So the people I'm working with are speakers, coaches, consultants. Maybe they're running programs or masterminds. Thought leaders might be a way to think of them. And the book is a piece of their ecosystem or their assets that they've built. And what kind of book they write is really all over the place because it tends towards nonfiction, but nonfiction is really wide. It includes memoirs. So I don't mean memoirs, but it could be narrative nonfiction if it's something that's instructive. It could be self-help. It could be a business book. It could be any kind of book that is teaching something to somebody in the hopes that you will, as the author, be hired to speak on that topic, coach, consult, etc. So the point is, we don't make tons of money off the book sales. It's about how that book draws a dotted line to the business and how do we nurture the reader to go from reader to prospect to client.
It's how we're perceived. That's why one of the most important things I tell my clients is that the book is not, you're not going to retire on the royalties of the book, but you will hang your hat on that, especially if it's a bestseller. You will hang your hat on that. And as a former as a current podcast host, right, and a former radio producer and host, I know that, and I got tons of emails from people who wanted to be on the radio show, publicists who wanted to get their clients on. And for me, the people that had a book published, and especially if it was a bestseller, but if they had a book published, they moved up in the ranks to be a guest on the show. Number one, because I know that they're professional and they actually followed through on a thing that a lot of people wish about and dream about. And number two, it gave me tons of information in order to have a really good interview, because I could read the book. I could even just read the back of the book, which is very important, by the way. I could read that and then have a much better idea of their expertise and how they can help my audience live a better life or create a thriving business, all those different things. So I know that's one of the most important things. So we talk about, and that is a big struggle, isn't it? Is getting the actual reviews, because you could, even if you do a strategic launch and you tell all your friends and your uncles and your aunts and everybody, please buy the Kindle version of my book, because usually people will be more apt to help you out for 99 cents as opposed to $24.95 or $19.95.
Yeah.
How important those reviews? I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you, how important are those reviews?
Well, the reviews are actually more important than the bestseller status in the way I'm focused on it. And I'm speaking specifically about Amazon bestseller status. Yes, it's very credible to be a New York Times bestseller. Something like that is notable. USA Today.
Yeah.
You can still buy your way into those processes, but it's a big deal. And a lot of books got sold or moved in some way. But you could sell very few books on Amazon and hit, hit number one in a category. And I've hit number one 30 times across 4 countries for my first 3 books. And I say that whole sentence. I do not call myself an international bestselling author, because I compare that to a book called Exactly What to Say by Phil M. Jones, which has sold 3.5 million copies, been translated 30 plus times into different languages. Like, very clearly, that is an international best-selling book.
Right.
Yeah. So I just think
Right.
people who hit number one in one US and one Canadian category shouldn't go walking around calling themselves international bestsellers when Phil did what he did. And it should mean something what he did. And it should mean something what I did. Like, that's why I say the whole thing. Bestseller status doesn't stay on the page the way reviews do. So reviews are social
Right.
proof that stay on the book sales page years and years and years after they were left. And when I'm getting pitched by guests to be on my show, I've had a show almost a decade now. They're all authors, so it's hard to distinguish based on that. But I would look for topic alignment. So my first podcast for 8.5 years was about networking and leadership. So if a guy wrote a book about networking, I was like, okay, cool. I'm interested. And I would look, and he'd have 7 ratings and 4 reviews. And the ratings are the stars, and the reviews mean that 4 out of 7 people took time to write something. And inevitably, like 1 or 2 of the reviews matched his last name. It was just like, come on.
Right.
So
Mom,
here's
thanks,
somebody. Yeah. So here's somebody who spent a lot of money for a hybrid publisher, because I would recognize the name of the publishing place, spent a lot of money for a PR agency, and then, didn't really wake up their own network. And their topic is networking. So I'm like, a pass. So I think we spend too much money on PR too soon. We jump into that when the book itself doesn't have that conversion in place. Like, if you send people to a sales page that doesn't have reviews and doesn't have sales, that's kind of problematic. So for me, bestseller status is a byproduct of that strategic launch.
And people are lemmings. So also, when they see, and this happens like with Google My Business, when they see 5-star ratings and comments, right, and from real people, not from your aunt,
Right.
they'll tend to be like, well, these people trust, this seems legitimate because they really like this person's services. Or when it comes to a book, the reviews, wow, these people actually read the book and they got something out of it. They like, they really, dug what was being put out. So for those people who are authors, and maybe were at the number one best-selling status, okay, on Amazon for a blip for a second, and they captured those screenshots, what would you suggest? How do they get more reviews? How do they get those reviews, those 5-star reviews?
Well, I think the way that most people go about it when they first hear reviews are important is they ask their friends and family and neighbors to do it. And honestly, those are the most difficult requests you'll ever make, because they don't need what you're selling. They don't really understand what you're selling, and they don't know anyone else who needs it either. They also don't really get why reviews are important or even what it means to be an author. So you will, fine. You could really push and get them to do it. I had someone reach out to me about discussing a relaunch strategy, and she had 32 written reviews. So I was very surprised. We got on the call, and I'm thinking, okay, what kind of help does she need from me? And she says, well, my book's not really leading to sales, so I want to talk about how I could do that. I said, well, all right, who are these 32 people? Like, I'm thinking she must have some prospects and referral partners in there that we could, leverage. Oh, my friends and family, they really came through for me. And I'm like, this is not going to help, because all that effort to make them strong arm them into writing a review and posting it did not lead to a pipeline. And so I think that's really key here in my process, that I'm helping entrepreneurs discover likely prospects and referral partners from within their existing network and have them use that list of people to nurture them through writing and leaving a review on Amazon. Now, even with a lot of support, nurturing, follow-ups, polite nudges, and etc., only about a third to 50% will leave a review in a specified amount of time. So the good news is the people who don't leave a review are very engaged with you, and you're going to find that quite a few of those people, even though they don't do the first ask that you made, which is the review, they might have you on a podcast, they might make an introduction for you. So new revenue and new media opportunities will come from those conversations over like the 6-8 weeks of the launch. And then it all culminates. I design a virtual book launch party that I MC for my clients. And so it's really about the right reviews from the right kinds of people. And the minimum here is 20, because most people don't even try to get 20. So it takes a little effort to get 20. I aim for 50 with my clients because you need a process. And honestly, once you have that process in place, 100's not far behind. And Amazon does some special like promo for you when you hit 100. So why not like step out from the crowds, particularly in a complicated, or I should say crowded topic like leadership? What's one more book on leadership? So if you want to stand out in those spaces, having hundreds of reviews when someone's deciding whether to hire you to speak or coach or consult, that actually, or have you on a show or a radio show, I think that's part of the overall package of what you have. And the bestseller status, sure, take the screenshots, put them on your website, put them on your landing page, but it's not going to be visible on, or no evidence or proof will be on the book's sales page, which is what we need when we're converting people. One last thought here, Christine. When writing my last book, I did some research. More than 90% of buyers check reviews before they make a purchase. But we all know, like, that makes sense, right? But we all know that way less than 10% of us are writing reviews. Now, I found reviews on Amazon.com and on Target.com for several toilet paper brands. In fact, every single one had thousands. So there are some people in the world. I have yet to meet a person who's copted to doing this themselves, but there are people who write reviews for everything. But there's very few of us who are writing reviews for everything, like the Yelp elite among us, right? There's so few. Which that means is that a small percentage of people have an outsized influence in the buying habits of everyone else. So even if you get 20 people to write a review, that's going to help your sales in the future. If you get 50, you get 100. So it's about, if you're going about it strategically, you'll also be lining up business.
I love that. And now how do you get people to write the review? Are you telling authors to pitch the book and have them buy the book? Are they giving the book to these folks? Like, here's my gift to you. I know you can do that through Amazon. You can gift a book, either send a physical book or possibly, I think, send them the Kindle version. Because I'm guessing that even my clients who love and adore me, they might even kind of go, oh, well, I don't want to necessarily spend $19.95 for this book when I have Christine as my coach, right? So what's the best way to do that?
Well, you could do a combo approach, but I'll tell you where I get most of my reviews from is I first ask everybody and their mother to join my launch team. And I have a Google form that collects more than just name and email. I also ask questions like, I love to be a guest on shows, podcasts, and radio shows. You know, anyone who can book me. And that leads to these kinds of conversations we're having right now. And then I send people the advanced reader copy, which is a PDF, usually a PDF of the Kindle version because it's something they'll read online, but it can also be a PDF of the paperback depending on the timing of when things are ready. And I give them 3 or 4 prompt questions that makes it really easy for them to write a 2 or 3 sentence review. And I assure them that they do not need to read the entire thing cover to cover. I give them about 2 to 3 weeks to write that review and submit it via a separate Google form. The book is not yet published. Then when the book is published, I publish the Kindle version at 99 cents. If it's a larger book, $1.99. For my third book, I even did $2.99 because it was a $30 paperback. So, but
Yeah.
I'd say $1 to $3. And you basically give everyone on your launch team the instructions that, hey, here's your text that you sent us. Here's the link to the discounted Kindle book. Buy that, flip through it, wait a few hours, post your review. And then it's a verified review. Now, verified reviews matter because when we're looking at how do we get to the top of the Amazon search results page, well, it's the quantity of your reviews, it's quality of your reviews, it's recency of reviews. And they also factor in as a weighted piece of this is how many of those reviews are verified, meaning they purchased the book from Amazon before leaving it. Now, you're not allowed to exchange things for review, other than giving them that ARC ahead of the advanced reader copy. I can't promise them my time. I can't put them in a raffle. I can't give them anything. I can give the entire launch team something. I can give them all a private training, which is something I do and I suggest people do. So I try to give them extra bonus content, but it's not based on them being a reviewer. It's based on them being willing to commit to writing a review. So that's been my process. It's really hand-holding. It's a step-by-step. And even with that, 30 to 50% will follow through. But if you only ask once, 10%. And you ask 100 people, you'll get 10 reviews. But it's missing the opportunity to really engage.
Now, Robbie, I know you have a whole pipeline system in order to do this. And as someone who has several books out, and again, never got, a bunch of different reviews, got a smattering here and there, right, of some ratings and reviews. And thankfully they were 5-star reviews, but very, very small amount, right? I am actually participating in one of your launch pipelines because I'm very excited about this with my latest book, not to be all, marketing and everything, marketing my book, but the Social Media and Branding Survival Guide, Digital Marketing So Irresistible, Even Your Ex Will Want to Follow You. Now, this is exciting because I want to learn at the feet of the master on how to get those reviews. And I'm going to be walked through you're going to hold my hand and go through this whole process. But this is something that you offer other people as well, right? And it's,
so there's two things here.
Periodically that you do these?
So let's go through. There's two things here. One, you're signed up for one of my Kindle cross promotion campaigns with that book.
Yes.
Those happen 3 times a year in April, July, and November. We get a whole bunch of authors together who are all writing a book to help them grow their business. We lower our Kindle book price to 99 cents. And I provide you the swipe copy and the graphics during a 4-day promotion. And then we cross promote and we get some more eyeballs on our books. The cost is not equal to the amount of books you're going to sell. So I tell people the point of this is to get some effort around marketing this book. So for 2 weeks before the campaign, lower your book early, which is what we're doing, and then go and make a list of 10 or 12 people and try to get another 3 to 5 reviews. And if you do that 3 times a year, the recency issue is gone because you have to have regular reviews coming in for Amazon to think your book remains relevant. So your book might be fantastic, but if all your reviews came in during that first month after the book came out, it will sync on the search results page. So that's one thing you're seeing. And I am running it like a campaign. You've seen I send these messages and I handhold people through it. You're also on the launch team for my 4th book. And that is going to be very much a case study of what hopefully to do regarding reviews. It is a book about getting Amazon reviews. So fingers crossed, I won't face that ironic moment of not getting enough reviews. But I do offer this as a strategy. So I have an online program that I give to my one-on-one clients. And I also design and MC virtual book launch parties. And we have an implementation team. So it's kind of a choose your own adventure. But if you go to booklaunchbrainstorm.com, I offer a complimentary 30-minute book launch brainstorming session. Whether you're just getting started thinking about writing a book, you've already published a book that you want to figure out how to relaunch it or what the next steps might be, or anywhere in between. The reason I can offer the early people some support is that I'm not a writing coach, but I have founded the BizBook Pub Hub, and that is a community of experts and authors supporting entrepreneurs getting through the author journey, writing, editing, publishing, and marketing. And I've got a podcast free virtual networking events, a whole bunch of experts for you to reach out to, and these Kindle cross promotion campaigns. I'm doing all of this because the people I can sell something to need a book. So if people are listening in and they don't have a book yet, I have nothing really to sell you, but I'm still willing to get on a call with you so that, a year from now, when you've got the book, you and I have already formed a relationship and it'll be a no-brainer for you to want to continue working with me. So
Right,
I just
right.
want to help people get out of their own way and create great results. The results are what's important. And the most important result, Christine, is money in the bank. Don't worry about any other
Yes.
metric. If
Yes.
is there money showing up in your bank account? That's the thing I think we all have to focus on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love too that you've incorporated, the podcast as well. That, because for again, it's like you're the male version of me. I tell people, you know what? One of the best things you can do, a great marketing tool, is create a podcast that's in your niche that you are an expert at, whatever that subject matter is. And what's great about this is that you're giving the tools to people who need it with the guests that you have on. You're also meeting those guests and then doing collaborations, and then it just keeps
I'll
growing and
tell you
growing.
actually, since you want people to do more podcasts, this is the most amazing thing ever. People are pre-qualifying themselves to pay. They're paying me to be part of a Kindle cross promotion. What that means is they're an author who already has a book, which is something I need, right? And they
Right.
want to do some marketing. So
Right.
so they're like, yeah, I want to do this. And then they go through the campaign, they get on the interview. We do a panel of 3 authors, and on air, a lot of them have the epiphany about what they haven't done yet that they could do. And then they realize they want to do something more with it, or they're like, wow, I didn't know, because I also am a business revenue coach or business growth strategy coach. And so I want to teach people how to do the business development side of things. And so sometimes they're like, I hadn't thought of how I could leverage this book to grow, to create a program of some kind. And I'm like, yeah, we should talk about that. And so all these people are having these moments, on air, and then we're having conversations after.
I love it.
And it's great because they're realizing that they shortchanged themselves. They printed something and they didn't really launch anything. So I think of, there's this idea that writing a book is like a marathon. It's this long, drawn out
Mm,
process. You stay steady. But a marathon runner gets to stop at the end, right? They hit the finish line and they're
yes.
done. Yay, here's the medal. Instead, this is a triathlon. The first leg is swimming, right? You get in there, you swim, swim, swim. If you only focus on that, you're not going to do well for the rest of the race. You then get out and you have to run wet over to the bike, and you have to
Mhm.
bike, 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 bike. That's the publishing. And so you're writing, publishing, and then finally you get to the running part, and that's the launching and the marketing. And you've got to have a plan in place, a strategy for all 3 legs of that triathlon to get through. And it doesn't officially end. Like, you know what I mean? Like the marketing really
It never
kind of
ends.
goes on. Yeah, every day that ends in Y. But you have these moments where you have a little more or less focus, which is why I love having these Kindle cross promotion campaigns sort of strategically throughout the year as okay, now I'm going to put 2 weeks 3 weeks of effort in to this book, and then I'm going to let it be for a little while, and I'm going to do it again a few months later. So
And it's doable. It's not something that's super complicated or hard, because as you know, if it's too hard and technical and all that stuff, people will go, no, no, it doesn't feel good. But you're right.
yeah, actually,
Yeah.
if they go to bizbookpubhub.com, biz, so bizbookpubhub.com, you'll find all the resources I've mentioned. You can find everything there, the experts, the Kindle cross promotion wait lists. So you can get on the wait list even when it's not running. You can just find out when the next one's happening. The podcast, which has author panels and expert interviews and author interviews. There's so we I host a virtual networking event every month. I just really, really want to help entrepreneurs turn this product, a book, into a business asset, something that's truly working for them.
And it's so needed, because also I've seen it too with my clients, as and myself on some of the books that I've published, is that there's more to that book.
Yeah.
There's courses that can be created out of that book. And then you also have the audio book, which I love helping people create an audio book. I initially thought it would be way too hard to do. I was like, this is too overwhelming. An audiobook is going to be not. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I got my headphones on and my microphone, and I'm like, I can do this. And I don't want an AI digital voice to do my books. I can actually do those books. And so I just started self-teaching really how to do the audiobook. And that's a fun thing to do.
Well, I think audiobook is another great excuse to do a launch.
Yeah.
So if people haven't felt like they did everything they could have on that first launch, or maybe they did and they still want to have another reason to reach out, that the Kindle cross promotion campaigns is an excuse to do a sort of a mini launch. Sometimes I actually coach people to not always do a full on relaunch. Like sometimes it's more, okay, what did you want this book to do? And okay, now it's sometimes a soft launch or an abbreviated version of it. Maybe we want to do something kind of public. Maybe we want to do something behind the scenes throughout your network. So I'm not just like one size fits all about it. The one thing that's consistent in everything I do is that there's a process for engaging your network.
Yes.
Not new people. I'm not talking about networking in like the acquire new people all the time. I'm saying you already met 80% of the people you need to know to be successful. So let's go figure out who those people are and let's go be successful. Like, let's not wait and hope and someone was going to come and find us. Let's go find them and draw them to us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Take action on it. And Rob, and there's another whole other industry too that you can be doing your line launch thing, which is authors who have audiobooks and they don't know what to like it. It because it does it's you've already written the book and there's a lot of work involved in that. There's a lot of work involved, in publishing it and getting it all there. But when you have an audiobook that you yourself have created, or you've paid a producer company to help you with, you've got it. It's just like having that book, and if nobody is listening to it or giving you reviews on it, it just goes off into the dustbin. And
right.
That is a shame. So if you ever want to do the audiobook pipeline thing, let me know too. I would love to, because I love audiobooks.
It's all the same. Honestly, there's no change in it. It's just that I focus on the Kindle version at first, because if you concentrate all your sales on one version of the book, either Kindle, paperback, or audio, it will rise you in the sales ranking for that version. So I actually purposely publish my Kindle book first, and then I don't publish the paperback until the launch day. Now, I want to explain something, Christine. Your publication day and your launch day are not the same day. Everyone you talk to is going to be like, this is it. Everything has to happen on this release day. I'm like, whew, breathe. Okay, breathe. So what I do is it's like you do a lot of work beforehand to collect those reviews from your launch team. Then the book gets published, just the Kindle version. 2.5, 3 weeks later is your launch day, which is the internal deadline for all the reviews from your launch team to be in by. And the day after is when I have the launch party, a virtual launch party, to celebrate, yes, what happened during the launch, but also look forward to the offer the author has. And so I work with the author on what their call to action will be. And if they need help, we also talk about how to pilot that offer. If they're trying to sell into a company, we find people from their launch team who will help them figure out how to do that by doing brainstorming calls. So it is a process. It's from the moment you start writing the book, you should be really thinking through, and maybe it'll change, but you should be thinking about, where is this going back to the business, so that you have the right bonus content. I mean, the amount of bonus content I put in my books, it's courses. I'm putting everything, scripts, downloads, everything they might need. If you're happy to DIY based on what's in my book and you can't afford me and you don't want the support, that's okay. Like, I still want you to have that information. And you probably, if you get good results, you're going to refer me. And that's happened over and over again. So my ideal client looks at it all and goes, ooh, but I don't want to do this by myself. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm here.
Right. And then the DIY folks can get busy. They have the
resources.
Go do it. Yeah. Yeah, because there's two different kinds of people. Well, there's probably more than that, but there's
those that can count. Those that count. Okay.
There's those that really need that accountability as well.
Yeah.
Because we can be overwhelmed with all the stuff that's going on in life and things, just even checking our email, it can be overwhelming sometimes. So having that is wonderful. So we'll make sure, Robbie, that we have links to to your website, to your main website, which is booklaunchbrainstorm.com. That will be there. And then also bizbookpubhub.com as well. So people can take a look at that.
That'd be great.
And I'm excited, myself, I'm excited to be a part of this and to see some new life put into the Kindle version of my book. And
be part of that Kindle cross promotion.
And I love it that we're going to be with, I get to also be with like-minded other authors. So It's not a solo trip. You're actually put together with other people that you can also resonate with, and it's a bit more of a tribe,
Some
vibe.
collaborations have come out of it because people get on the podcast panel based on availability, and then randomly three people with very similar topics will be assigned to the same time slot. And they are
Yeah.
so, ooh, yeah. And I'm like, yeah,
I
you all should talk.
I love doing co-venture work with people. I mean, I think we're all wonderful by ourselves. You're fabulous by yourself. I'm great by myself. But when you join forces with
Sure.
others, it's so powerful. I'm doing that now. I was just on a summit, and because I was on the summit and saying what I did, somebody reached out to me who's another summit participant, and we're going to join forces and create something really unusual and way
Brilliant.
more powerful than if we just did it by ourselves.
That's
So
awesome.
the audience gets to win, and that's what we love. We love a win-win
Mhm.
situation. Robbie Samuels, you have been amazing today. Thank you so much. And anything else you want to add before we hit
Just
the
want to encourage people to do this. I mean, I think writing a book can be really daunting, but when you have purpose behind it, a strategy to guide it forward, and the right kind of team, I think, don't feel like you have to do it alone. And please, please do not write in secret. Make sure you're writing with input from your best readers, the people who will be one day your ideal clients. Don't worry about what your aunt says. If there's not an ideal client, like focus on people in your network who could give you honest feedback, so you end up with the best possible book for that community. And then they're also they're excited for it. They're asking you questions. Even if you don't share the actual content, let enough people know so that they start saying things like, hey, how's that book going? And that external accountability can help us just get to the finish line of at least the first rough draft. And then we might want to hire people to continue that rest of that process, which is why I put together all these experts, the BizBook Pub Hub. But really,
oh,
Christine, I love what you're doing. I totally feel it.
thank you.
This is only, we haven't had a lot of conversations, but we are two peas in a pod. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
really love that you've invited me to connect with your audience. And I want to say hello to everyone.
Oh, absolutely. And I can feel the vibe of the people that are listening or watching on YouTube. I can feel the vibe that people are like, you know what? This is doable. This
Mhm.
is something that I can do. And also, and before we take off, I want to say too to folks, it can feel, if you have not written that book yet, it can feel overwhelming because it's like driving a Maserati. You're like, what do I push? Where do I go? I don't know. I don't even know. Listen, you don't have to write a Tom Clancy novel. As a matter of fact, most of my books are tiny books. My first book was an itty bitty book. Okay. So you don't have to write, some huge encyclopedia type thing. Write what you're passionate about. That will also be translated, but start off small too. You don't have to it's not a big badass book that you have to write, especially for your first one. And
Mm.
do it, because you'll get addicted like I am, and like Robbie. I'm addicted to writing books now. I'm like, what's the next one? What's the next one that I can
Well, and I
create?
still don't identify as a writer, right? I'm on book 4. It's just not my first medium, but I found ways to do it. That's the other things. Like,
Yep,
don't listen
same.
to I hear people say, like, you got to get up early to do this thing and write this many. I'm like, this doesn't work for me. I write at night. You just find something that works for you. Being in community with other authors is so important because that, I think, gives you some idea of what's around the corner. It's hard to know what's going to happen once that book comes out. But these launches that I've done with my clients have led to incredible outcomes. The book being bought in bulk, new consulting, new offers. You just had a client tell me, like, the offer I ended up creating was nothing like the one I had in mind, but you and I tested something as I was going. She had 30 people out of 75 on her launch party say, yes, I'd like to know about your offer. And it was a pilot that, so she had to figure out who amongst those 30 to actually meet with. And then she
Mm-hmm.
had to figure out, distill that down to like the right audience. And so now she realized she has a precursor offer for sort of more people, and then the actual offer for the people who are ready to go now. And none of that would have come if she had just hit publish and didn't do any of that other work. So it's a really, you don't need a book to do this kind of research. My second book, Small List Big Results, is about doing that research and reaching into your network. The difference is a book is like the brick that holds the door open.
Yeah.
So you have a conversation. that door can close again. But if you have a conversation and you follow up because you have a book, and then you're like, hey, join my launch team, I'm going to talk to you for the next 8 weeks about this, that just keeps that door propped open. And that's the magic. The magic is ongoing conversations with your prospects and referral partners. Business owners should be doing that. The book gives them a reason to do that, and it gives them a reason to keep doing that. And that's how they get further faster, not by designing things in the dark and hoping the market wants it when they finally hit the light switch and turn it on. It's just too abstract, and they don't know whether it's working. This is how you can test it and find out if it's working.
I love it. I love it. And in those different touch points, all those different touch points are so important in business in general. So yay. Yeah. All right. Well, Robbie Samuels, again, thank you so much. We'll put the links in the show notes. So Brilliant. You can just click on those, check out, of course, booklaunchbrainstorm.com. And the other website is bizbookpubhub.com. Go check it out and see if it's something that you yourself would be interested in, and get that book out. It's so good. We don't want to bury it into the dustbin of history. Get it out there. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening today. Remember, if you got something out of this and you want to share, that's how we get around, right? Share this episode with someone who you think could benefit from this. Maybe they've written a book. Maybe they're thinking about writing a book. Share that with that person. And if you want more information, of course, about this show, all the other podcasts that I have, my books as well, the different ones I have, you can go to expertauthoritycoach.com. That's expertauthoritycoach.com. All right. Until next time, as I always say, remember to think outside that damn box. Bye for now.